In just 8 minutes, uncover 10 brutal truths from Andrew Huberman's Dopamine Masterclass. Why you'll never stay motivated if you don't fix this. How addiction rewires your brain, and why even pleasure comes with a cost. Takeaway 1. What dopamine actually does in your brain. Dr. Andrew Huberman explains that dopamine is not just a pleasure chemical, as many people assume. It's mainly a molecule that drives motivation, focus, energy, and the desire to pursue things. It influences whether you get off the couch and get to work, or just stay there and feel stuck. It works like a wave, where your baseline dopamine level is always running in the background, and dopamine peaks happen when you do something exciting. These two states together shape how you feel day to day. Huberman also points out that dopamine helps regulate how we perceive time. People who feel bored quickly may actually have trouble managing dopamine over longer stretches. For example, when someone is trying to study and struggles to stay focused for more than 10 minutes, their dopamine system might be firing in bursts and then dropping, which makes them feel restless instead of engaged. Now let's move to the next takeaway. Takeaway 2. Dopamine impacts how you view your life. Dr. Huberman dives deeper by saying that dopamine is the currency of value in your life. It helps you judge how meaningful or exciting something is. But this value is not fixed. It depends on your recent history with dopamine. If you just had a big dopamine spike from scrolling through social media or eating something really tasty, the next thing you do will feel less enjoyable by comparison. This is why people feel less satisfaction from the same things they used to love. Your dopamine system gets used to the peaks and starts expecting more. For example, if you binge watch a thrilling TV show over 2 days, then try to read a book afterward, you'll probably feel like the book is boring, even if it's well written. That's your dopamine system adjusting its expectations. Now let's move to the next takeaway. Takeaway 3, dopamine has 2 major brain circuits. Andrew Huberman describes 2 main circuits in the brain that use dopamine. One controls movement, and the other drives motivation and mood. The movement circuit explains why people with Parkinson's disease struggle to initiate motion, speak, or even blink. Their dopamine-producing neurons in that area die off. The second circuit, known as the mesocortico-limbic pathway, is involved in reward and goal-seeking. Both circuits matter because without them, not only can you not move well, but you also lose the desire to do anything. For example, when people say they feel stuck in life, it could actually be due to a disruption in the motivation pathway, not just a mental slump. Now let's move to the next takeaway. Takeaway 4. Pleasure always comes with a cost. Dr. Huberman says that when you experience a high from dopamine, it's always followed by a drop in your baseline dopamine levels. So the more intense the peak, the deeper the crash afterward. He compares this to postpartum depression after childbirth or the letdown feeling that follows a major success. It happens because your brain has depleted the pool of dopamine and needs time to recover. For example, if you have an amazing weekend filled with parties, food, and fun, you may wonder why you feel low on Monday, even if nothing went wrong. That's the drop in your dopamine baseline. Now let's move to the next takeaway. Takeaway 5. Addiction is dopamine collapse over time. Huberman warns that addiction is not just about liking something too much. It's when your dopamine system becomes so used to one source of pleasure that nothing else brings you joy anymore. Eventually, even that one thing stops working. People stop enjoying school, relationships, or hobbies. This is why addiction looks like a narrowing of what brings you happiness. For example, a teenager who only plays video games and finds no joy in hanging out with friends or going outside is likely facing a dopamine imbalance due to excessive gaming. We're halfway through the video. Thanks for sticking with us. If you're enjoying it, hit the thumbs up and share it in your WhatsApp groups. If you'd like to support us, please tap the thanks button below. It helps us keep making great content. Drop a comment and don't forget to hit subscribe for more. Now let's continue with the video. Takeaway 6. You can train dopamine like a muscle. Dr. Huberman shares some powerful tools to regulate dopamine. The best strategy is to attach dopamine not to the reward, but to the effort. When you learn to enjoy the challenge itself, your brain becomes more resilient and your baseline dopamine remains stable. He calls this effort-based reward. You can also space out your sources of dopamine to avoid constant spikes. For example, if you love working out, But always do it while listening to loud music and drinking energy drinks. You're layering dopamine. Try doing it sometimes without music or any caffeine. This makes your brain work harder to produce motivation naturally. Now let's move to the next takeaway. Takeaway 7. Cold exposure is a dopamine booster. Cold showers or ice baths might sound unpleasant, but Dr. Huberman says they cause a massive and long-lasting increase in dopamine. Unlike stimulants, this rise is gradual and can last for hours. It also doesn't crash your baseline afterward. Cold exposure activates both dopamine and norepinephrine, the brain's alertness chemical. For example, if you start your day with a 2-minute cold shower, you're likely to feel energized and focused without needing coffee right away. Just make sure the water's cold enough to be uncomfortable, but safe to stay in. Now let's move to the next takeaway. Takeaway 8. Social bonding boosts dopamine naturally. Huberman explains that deep social connections, like romantic relationships or close friendships, increase dopamine in a healthy way. This happens because of the hormone oxytocin, which stimulates dopamine circuits in the brain. Unlike instant pleasures like sugar or screens, social bonding brings sustained emotional satisfaction. For example, having a heartfelt conversation with a friend or hugging your child can actually lift your mood and reset your dopamine system better than many artificial stimulants. Now let's move to the next takeaway. Takeaway 9. Supplements can help, but use wisely. Dr. Huberman talks about several supplements that can increase dopamine, including L-tyrosine, meconiprurians, and phenylethylamine. He cautions that these can give strong boosts, but might also lead to crashes if taken too often. He personally uses L-tyrosine once or twice a week when he really needs extra focus, but avoids daily use to keep his system balanced. For example, if you're preparing for a presentation and need sharp focus, taking 500 milligrams of L-tyrosine might help. But doing this every day can train your brain to expect a pill for motivation, which reduces your natural drive. Now let's move to the last takeaway. Takeaway 10. Beware of dopamine stacking. Andrew Huberman introduces the concept of dopamine stacking, which means combining multiple dopamine spiking activities at once. This creates strong highs, but also strong crashes. People often do this without realizing it. For instance, watching a favorite show while eating junk food and checking social media all at once. It feels amazing in the moment, but your baseline dopamine will take a big hit. Over time, your regular life feels dull unless you keep stacking more intense stimulation. For example, a person might find real-life dating less interesting because they've conditioned their brain to expect the high intensity of pornography, which spikes dopamine far more than real-world romance. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support this channel, hit the thanks button below. It really helps us keep going. If you enjoyed this summary, please leave a like and share it in your WhatsApp groups. To join discussion about this video, drop a comment below. And for more videos like this, hit the subscribe button below.